Queerchester Northwest Film Event. I thought I'd tell you a little bit about why we've got this group together and what it's all about. We started this group really to show films during a little film festival, and we thought we'd put it on regularly. But you know what we realised quite quickly is that there's not enough films being made in the Northwest. And so this film group has evolved really from being a group about showing films into what we're hoping it'll be, which is a group about inspiring films and inspiring the making of films. Already, whilst the people have been involved with this group, I've started making my own film, and Adam has made a music video, and really that's what this group's going to become, is all about making films. And so we're very lucky to have we've got an amazing selection of films, really interesting films, all either made locally or by local people or people who've lived here locally. So we've got all a very strong local contact. But we're very lucky that a lot of the filmmakers have managed to come here this evening, and we're going to ask them to speak for a couple of minutes about the process that they went through in making the film. But more excitingly, in about a month's time, we're going to have our first filmmaking event. We're going to come together for 3 days, anybody who wants to, and just keep an eye out on Facebook. Pay a little bit of money, get some equipment, and we're going to make films for 3 days. A bit like the Filmonic process, if you're aware of that, and if you're not, Google it, it's fantastic. I've done a film on it.
Hi everyone. I've sort of always been, as an artist initially before I used to make films, I was interested by surrealism, magical realism, and basically the language of dreams. You know, we love telling stories, but every night we fall asleep, our unconscious seems to make us tell ourselves stories. And those of us who dream wild dreams, you know, when we wake up in the morning thinking, my God, what the hell was that about? And I love filmmakers that work, you know, like David Lynch with the surreal, and I just thought, you know what, I love coming out stories, and what I would like to do is tell coming out stories from the point of view of your unconscious. Okay, let's say you fall asleep at night, you kind of know you're different, you know, you don't fit in, the way you design people, there's just something, you know, it's not so mainstream, but you don't quite know what it's about. There's something in you knows what it's about, and it's going to literally put you through, illuminate as you fall asleep at night. So for me, stop motion animation is probably a very good medium when you like the surreal, because you can do crazy things with very little means. And I just thought, you know, these days, if you want to make a film, you don't need much money. If you can get funding, it's brilliant, but usually if what you have to say is maybe not the kind of stories that producers and distribution companies are going to be interested, you're going to have to do it out of your own back. So I got a camera, I learned the basics, I had learned the basics of filmmaking, and I thought I'm going to gather a number of dolls, plastic creatures, and I'm going to find out what I can do with them. And the best way to do is to experiment. So again, you plug your camera into your computer, and very quickly, if you sort of play with dolls, literally, you look at what you're doing more or less in real time, which you could not do even probably 20 years ago. You know, you had to send the rushes, wait and see whether what you had done looked good, and it was not a very intuitive way of creating, if you want. So, with very little means and very little experience, I started to look at how with lighting, and again, if you work in digital, with digital filmmaking, you don't need extraordinary lights. You can have a bulb, you know, place it around, and start to see whether, you know, the face that you liked looks scary, scared, I don't know, intimidating, and start to again map out what you've got, you know, and what, if you work with stop motion, and what the dolls can give you. Some animators work with plasticine, and they create lots of expression. They're amazing. They make the mouth move, the eyes move. And I'm more interested in sort of evocative things, you know, putting out emotions out of a face that's not moving, but framing it, lighting it so that something comes out of it. So again, that's what I've tried to do with the film, is just use dolls that don't move very much, but create emotions. So it took me quite a long time to do it. I know I'm talking about, creating maybe quickly with digital filmmaking. Again, stop motion is very time consuming, but you can sort of do it guerrilla style and still come up with something at the end which will go places. Once I finished the film, I just looked at distributing it. That was only looking at 7 years ago. Now if you want to distribute a film, you just literally send it over the internet to film festivals. So if you've got a digital piece of filmmaking and you want to find out whether there's an interest out there, you simply distribute it online, which is again cost effective and very good. And the film toured internationally at LGBTQI film festivals. So I guess why we're here tonight is because we want to find out if we've got stories to tell, and if we have stories to tell, we hope that there's a world out there that's going to be interested by those stories, especially in a community that is often feeling deprived of the stories that it wants to listen to and look at. Unless we make the stories ourselves, it's unlikely that they will be made for us. But we're lucky to be at a time when you can do something with very little means and still find your audience. So I guess that's sort of why the night is happening tonight, is to send out that message and really it's possible, it's great fun and it works. So thank you very much.
Kevin, so this film now is a short film called I Was 10 Maybe, and I think on a similar theme, so I'm just going to play that now. Would you be welcome to come and talk a little bit about
when you have this subject, because as a child you can't really tell that too early. And there is something in France, I don't know if you've heard about those last year there was the gay marriage, and there was a lot of manifestation.
demonstration?
Demonstration. And a lot demonstration against. And for me it was, for many people it was awful, because it was really, really, on the media it was a lot. We saw a lot of the demonstration of the people against, and like very, very awful stuff they said, and all the time. So I think for gays, those last year, it was like, it continued even after the marriage is all right now, but it continues, those demonstration. And I wanted to say that, it's a little short, but I wanted to tell that if the family are on the street, but maybe there is a lot of children who are gays also, and I don't know. That's it.
A lot of the films that are made in Manchester actually are promotions for the club nights or music videos, and they're films too. And that might be where we all start making films, is promoting somebody's club night. So we've got a couple of promo videos from Drunk as Vogue, and here's our second one. And they're bad, aren't they? They cheer us up. Transex Essential by Noah Rose. And again, thank you very much for listening, for watching these films so respectfully. This is quite a tender film. I hope you'll enjoy. Thank you everybody for listening to that film, and Noah, I don't know if you'd like to speak. I mean, my thoughts about that film is that it's, it shows you don't need incredible equipment or incredible technical whiz-bangs to tell a really moving and meaningful story.
Well, I made my film for a uni project. We were studying personal filmmaking, and I just wanted to push myself to make it as personal as possible, which I think I managed. But yeah, I just think it's important to raise awareness of identities that other people might not always know about. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. Does anyone have questions or anything?
Thank you very much. So the next film's called Homo Nazi by Alexandros, who's with us, and I think we'll talk a little bit about it afterwards. Again, it's a film I won't tell you much about because I think it works better the little less you know about it beforehand, but it's very good.
Ένα καλοκαιρινό βράδυ, ένας στρίλας άρεσε τα σκαμπιά, μου τράβηξε την τσάντα και προσπάθησε να κρυφούν ένα νερό. Τελικά, πώς ξέφυγε και εκείνος. Ρώτησα τον κόσμο που μαζεύτηκε, ανοίξαν τους εκκλειδένους, κάνε τη θέση στο ζάπιο, εναντίον γέρων ατόμων, να μερικά με τα λόγια του.
Το σπέρμα ήταν όριμο μέσα στους αδένες.
Quite a shocking film, I think, for people.
The main idea behind projects like this is that there is cinema is not only what you see on a screen, it's what you do, the way that you play with things that you can see on a screen. For example, you might do cinema when you flirt, when you discuss politics, when you cruise online, or when you cruise in a park, or when you do all of these things together. And this is my perception of what queer cinema. Queer cinema is more or less a way of disrupting the distinction between fiction and reality, or making a new agreement between fiction and reality, or a new disagreement between what counts as fiction and what is real. Nevertheless, when we do this, I have to say all of this is based on reality. All of whatever you saw is real. This film tries to disturb any sort of generic categorization. We don't believe that there's a distinction between cinema, video art, Facebooking, speaking online, presenting yourself in a video clip. I have to say that the video clips that we saw today were cinematic in themselves. We can argue that cinematic is not anymore a film that you see in a festival, it's more or less a way of self-presentation. And I think queer cinema can do this. What was real about this? Two things are real, basically. One, a homophobic attack which I experienced 4 years ago in Athens by a group of people who apparently were neo-Nazis. We had more than 200 attacks on people over the last 3 or 4 years in Athens. This is a new thing, we didn't have these kind of things. It's a country which was very homo-friendly despite delays in legal culture. Quite a lot of people, it was very easy when you were 16 or 17 years old to make love with your attackers, people who were bullying you. It was very easy to approach them and flirt with them. It was a place in which in the country, in the city that I've lived, all the straight population, 70% of the people had a homosexual experience as a process of initiation. So it was very common 40 or 50 years ago in Athens for all the male population to have homosexual experiences. It was like, I'm mostly straight. It was completely different. And the second thing which is also raised is the dialogue with this guy who happens to be the cousin of Kassidiaris. Kassidiaris is the leader of the Golden Dawn, he's at the moment in prison. We started speaking with me, I saw his name, I was very puzzled by the way that he appeared to be. He had this kind of very heavy neo-Nazi name, and at the same time he was very gay in all possible sense. So as he started speaking with me, this is only one part of the dialogue, and actually it's the most, I would say, the kind of things that even me could not visualize. He had extremely good imagination in describing brutal and sexual things. Maybe one day we will do that, but this was, I can say, the most easy, the most, I don't know, softcore, softcore aspect of his words. He insists that Gold Dawn is a huge gay orgy. Now, why this film was made? This film was made based on three basic principles. Number one, I think, is that we should make films. Queer filmmaking is not what is going on a screen. It's beyond one screen. It's a game between multiple screens. There is the screen of the computer, there is the screen of your mind, there is the screen of your iPhone. Play with all the screens continuously. Create something. Replace flirt with filmmaking and filmmaking with flirt. This is the basic principle. You don't have to do it only when you flirt with neo-Nazis. Start flirting people who do not expect that they can be flirting material and see what's going on. There's quite a lot of huge unexpected dramas every day that you can make it to look like films. Then in the same way that you try to attract attention from your Facebook audience, in the same way you can make a good film. Good films are made spontaneously with people that feel boring, that are scary, or I don't know what. This is what films is, a disruption of boredom. Second principle, political one, is that during moments of crisis, we found ourselves in positions very weird. A position in which political imagination is indistinguishable from erotic imagination. Why is that? There are quite a lot of interpretation. It's a thing to ask ourselves. I believe that my answer to this is that if there's something to learn from this experience, is that if people learn how to deal with their beastiness, with their anger in imaginative, playful and even sexual ways, then this might be a way to abandon beastiness in politics. That the best way to deal and erase anger and violence in politics is to sexualize it, to get it out of politics and make it into a film or a sexual show. That's my answer.
It wasn't my fault, you know. Save it. I got that bit. There was a wedding, remember? I'm sorry. You anymore. Nothing. After everything that happened. Yeah, that's it, Kaylee. Just stick the knife in a bit more, why don't you? You're really good at that. If I could go back, I'd do it all different. I wouldn't have started this relationship. Now tell him.
I'm Johnny. I was the editor. Tony couldn't be here this evening. She didn't have a babysitter, so she's at home, unfortunately. But yeah, she was the director and the writer for most of it. And it was made during a film on a cabaret, so from that point onwards it was a very collaborative effort. So someone else wrote the ending, which might be a bit obvious, but so a couple of guys shot and did the sound, they did the editing at the last minute, and someone else did the music. So it was really an exercise in everyone coming together and really experimenting with it as well, because it started off as something completely different and ended up as that. So yeah, that was made at Cabaret. I'm one of the organisers for Philharmonic, and we have special screenings and open screenings, but our main event is the Cabarets. We have 3 every year, the big ones in the summer. There's one in Easter, so come to that. But it's, aside from having kit for hire and 24-hour lab and places to screen film across Manchester, it's about bringing people together and collaborating to make films. Usually you've got 3 or 4 days per round to make a film and then finish it and screen it the last day. But it's more about meeting people and working through ideas together. It's international as well. Manchester's Philharmonic is just the Manchester cell of groups that are all across Europe and across the all over the world. So we have people from other cells in Europe, usually for the big summer one. So yeah, the more people we have, the more communities we have, the more variety we have, and yeah, it gets cooler every time. So yeah, come down.
We would love to take to have more of a queer contingent to go to a Philharmonic, and that's really, I went to one Philharmonic and it really helped me. I didn't really do very much except watching all the other filmmakers, but I learned so much about what I needed to know, and now I've gone away and taken courses and bought equipment and learned a lot about filmmaking myself. And the Philharmonic I went to, which was run by Johnny's group, or it's a large group, was near the Shoot Hill, in a huge big warehouse space. I was so amazed when I went in, full of sofas, editing stuff. In the corner there was like a synthesizer and stuff for people to make music, constant teas and coffees, and then it was open. There was even beds there. My God, there were even beds there. And so it was open for, I think it was a Thursday to Sunday once, and so it was open all the 24 hours of that, and people just constantly making films, like 10 o'clock at night, midnight, people were going out making films. Me, I'm an older person, I was just there sort of 9 till about 9 at night. But it was and then on the Sunday evening, they showed the films they'd made over the past few days. And so we'd like to do an experiment sort of inspired by that one in March, a little local one for us to sort of get some skills, but we'd also like to use that to go towards working with the Philharmonic ones. So Adam, me, Tom is in the Queerchester group, Andy, and a couple of other people, Andy, whoever is there, Andy, yes, there, Andy, and there's a couple of other people who aren't here who seem to be quite interested. So keep an eye on Facebook, we'll firm it up, we'll get an event. It's only a few weeks off, but we're quite good at putting on events at the last minute, and we know we're going to do it. So keep an eye on the Queerchester Film Group, ask other people to join, and watch out, we're going to have a little 3-day film event, so perhaps start thinking about if you've got a spare, any annual leave, and you can take the Friday off so that we can all work together for 3 days. We're going to finish off now with a slightly longer film, a film I've seen before, by Janie Fletcher, who's here. Hopefully Jane will have a quick word with us before we go. But again, thank you very much for listening to all the filmmakers and watching all the films with such open hearts and respect. That was a lovely film, Jamie.
Thank you.
Owen is just a fabulous actor.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah.
Would you like to come on?
Yeah, I don't know whether I need a microphone or not. It feels a little bit formal, but thank you very much for watching. It's really a pleasure to show the film to you. I guess I should probably talk about a couple of things. I'll try not to talk for too long because I know that some of you probably need to toilet. Or when you get to the bar. First thing is that is version 3 of the film. They're actually on version 6 of the film, with slight formatting problems that's showing it this evening. You've seen sort of a different version. Generally speaking, I wouldn't tell an audience that, but because you're an interesting audience, I thought you might be interested to know that, and just tell you a little bit about what the tweaks are, if you were to come and see it again, and see it wherever, and what you might notice. So a couple of those things, briefly, are that the sound is just tweaked ever so slightly in different places. And a couple of the slides are just sort of slightly different colouring. Really, really subtle things that no one else would notice. But I sit there and go, ooh. You know, it is there, and it's worth saying that as I guess, as an artist, you're never quite finished with something. You always kind of want to put those extra little tweaks on, and if I could keep affording to pay my editor to keep going. I'd be like, make this change, do this, keep going, keep going. But you can see how big production kind of companies kind of ring up huge amounts of costs on feature-length films. Anyway, so that's kind of a little bit about what you just saw there. 3 other things that I thought you might be interested in. First is the fact that it wasn't really low budget, so really lucky enough to kind of get some funding for this, kind of crowdfunded as well for it, really generously supported from a number of organisations, including a Christian organisation called Leeds Church Institute and the Seabed Trust. So that's really fantastic to be seeing Christian organisations getting involved with LGBT work. The other thing is loads and loads of kind of additional support and in-kind support, and without that this film could never have happened. So that's from equipment to locations, lots and lots of kind of support in different ways. For those of you who are filmmakers in here or would like to be or are inspiring to do those things, for me location is such an important thing. It says so much about the scene. It can tell a story of its own without you even putting a person in there. So that for me is a really important thing to get right. Dance and poetry and music are just different forms of storytelling, and for me that's really important. I get bored really easily. I like seeing different things. I like going to the theatre and being challenged. I like going to see lots of films and that are different, and that's for me is a wonderful thing that art can offer. But I don't think it should be restricted for the ways that you can tell a story. Just as earlier people were saying the same things with their film, find different ways and to do that. So that for me is a really, really important function in order to be able to kind of fuse together these different elements, and hopefully that will, for an audience, make it a bit more challenging, make them work a little bit harder perhaps, make them think, why is this there? What's important about that? So for me that's the next thing that's really important about the kind of work that I want to make, which is semiotics, the study of signs. Every little movement that is in that piece has a significant reason why it's there. It has a story of its own to tell, and hopefully maybe you might see some of those moves and think, oh, what the fuck does that mean? But maybe you might want to chat and think, oh, well, maybe it might mean this or it might mean that, and that's great. And it's up to an audience to go away and feel like they can talk about this. Which leads me on to the final thing. Audiences. For me, that's why I make work. Whether it's film or theatre, it's for an audience. And being able to kind of make different shows and films that are specifically to engage different audiences is really, really important. This film was actually primarily made for a Christian audience, to get them engaged in conversations and dialogues about LGBTQ issues. So this is kind of a polemic to get them started. And I've been touring this with churches and Christian organisations throughout the last sort of 6 months, and over the course of the next 12 months I will be continuing to do the same thing, along with going out to the film festivals as well. But that for me is a separate thing. That kind of, the film festivals and those things, that's for my ego. The real reason why I made that film is because I want to make I want to be an activist. I want to make that change, and I want to see that happen. And hopefully, by showing this film within different communities that might not always talk about these issues, or they're contentious, or they're difficult to talk about, maybe this will be part of a positive conversation. It certainly is having some positive impact within the dialogues that are taking place within the different sort of denominations of Christianity from the Church of England. But yeah, so that's a little bit about film for you. I could speak for hours about this, and you know, if you want to chat to me, then go ahead. If you want to keep in touch with kind of what we're doing with the Dancing Bear Trilogy, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dancing Bear Trilogy. There's always bits of information there. I post loads of articles as well.
I'll put a link on the
Yeah, but real pleasure. Thank you very much.
Coming, for watching all of the films, and for all of the filmmakers from speaking very, very honestly and from your heart and saying some real. It's been very special. Thank you very much, everybody. Keep your eye out on Facebook again, Oscars Club, Queerchester Films Northwest. As I say, we'll be doing a filmmaking event. I'm sure we'll do another event like this, putting on films. Get involved with us if you like. You know, we're a tiny little group that needs to evolve and grow. Fantastic, thank you. It's been a really wonderful.